Hey horror fans, so now let the ranting begin. Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Yeah, of the Friday the 13th films, this is the worst one. But of the overall series, it's not, so buckle up, because this isn't going to be the worst rant. So the writer-director Rob Hedden, he was given the option to make Friday the 13th Part 8. But he said, do I have to be in Crystal Lake? Can I take it somewhere else? And they're like, sure. Where do you want to go? And he said, well, why not the opposite? Manhattan. Which, I like the idea of fish out of water. You know, he's been in the woods the whole series. Why not take him into the big city? This movie just fails on all fronts. It should have been called Jason Takes a Cruise. Because most of it takes place on a cruise ship. And even then, a lot of it is in... You get one scene in Times Square. The rest is in, like, Vancouver or the sewers. Story opens up on a yacht in Crystal Lake. Which I don't know who would bring a yacht into a lake. But this couple... The boyfriend tells her the story of Jason Voorhees. Which I said earlier about timeline. How it doesn't make sense. It's like... He says Jason drowned almost 30 years ago. But you think the time between the 1958 murders and the murders in the first film was 20 years. And then there was 5 years between 1 and 2. And then you just have the years Tommy grew up. The years he was at the bottom of Crystal Lake. And then when Tina grew up. It doesn't make fucking sense. Anyway. He drops the anchor. He hits electrical, like an underwater electrical pipe, which hits Jason. He gets resurrected again. He gets on board and kills them. Which the girlfriend hides in the live well, which is the dumbest place. He kills her with the little harpoon. There is a funny behind the scenes thing where he opens the live well and he's wearing a strap on because Kane Hodder returned for this. He was a prankster. So then the yacht somehow gets out of Crystal Lake, makes it to a river where this big cruise ship is, where Crystal Lake High is taking a trip from New Jersey because Friday the 13th 3, the convenience store said New Jersey. Going from Jersey to Manhattan. So how a lake makes it to a river, which gets to the Atlantic Ocean to get from Jersey to Manhattan. Even in Camp Crystal Lake Memories, they said, yeah, people might question it, but whatever, let's just do it anyway. So it's lazy writing. And Jason really wants to be part of this cruise because there's a part where it like shows him grabbing hold of the anchor and like looking around like, yeah, I'm getting on this boat. And the is stupid in this because Harry Manfredini didn't do the music. He stopped after I think part 6 or part 7. It's more like stupid. So on the cruise ship we see our students. And this one was also very 80s. You had, you know, students doing cocaine. It was having... I think one of them has, like, the Zach Morris cell phone. Of course, our lead is... I can't remember her name, but it's this girl who, you know, she's afraid of water. You find out because her uncle, who's the teacher that's chaperoning, who I can't remember his name, but I know he was in at least one episode of The Twilight Zone. She wants to be a writer. She's even given a ink dabbing pen that Stephen King used. She's afraid of water because her uncle made her learn how to swim by pushing her out of the boat in Crystal Lake, where Jason, as a boy, tried pulling her under. Which there's even parts where she looks out her window And there's like the apparition of Jason as a boy trying to get in. It looks terrible. Some of them call this the Disney Friday the 13th because there really isn't any kills. Well, there's kills, but not really a couple of them are decent. So Jason kills some of them. You know, like there's this one rocker chick who has a flying V. She gets killed with the flying V. This Asian chick gets killed on a dance floor, like just, I think strangled and then just like thrown. And the stunt woman really was like a deadfall. The sort of class slut tries seducing the teacher, like painting body parts for a biology project. She has this other student who's a film guy, film it as like blackmail. She gets killed with a shard of glass. You know, she's in the shower. Jason grabs her. She runs headfirst in the mirror. Then he stabs her with the shard. Then I think it's this guy. You know, so now everything's messed up on the boat. Half the class is never to be seen again. Jason grabs this one guy. So they all grab like axes and bats and rifles to arm themselves. This guy gets thrown off the deck onto like these, I can't remember what they are. It's like these poles. It's like this long spirally pole and you just see him kind of spiral down it. That looked cool. I can't even remember all the deaths. It's been a long time since I've seen this. I guess I remember enough of it. Then the ship catches on fire and you have the lead, her sort of boyfriend, the teacher, the black kid Julius, who's a boxer, and I think an older woman. I can't remember if I can't remember. Whatever. I didn't want to watch this again. I remember enough of it. It's a slasher film and it's Friday the 13th. You don't need every single plot point. So they get in a lifeboat. They do make it to Manhattan. I guess the rest of the class dies on the fucking ship. Either burns or drowns. Or Jason killed them all. We didn't get to see it. So like the third act of the film, they finally get to Manhattan. Jason's at like a harbor and he sees like an ad for hockey. And when he looks at the mask, he just sort of... Great scene in Times Square. There's all these 80s punks who are listening to hip-hop for some stupid reason. Jason walks by and just, like, kicks their radio. Guy takes out a butterfly knife. He's like, you got a problem? And Jason just turns around, lifts his mask, and they're like, yo, man, it's cool. And then he just, like, just keeps walking. So we're like, yeah, Jason knows what he is. Which, I don't like the look of Jason. The makeup's pretty terrible. And he's also just slimy and goopy. Which he was at the bottom of Crystal Lake between 6 and 7. And he wasn't slimy and goopy. But in this one, he's like really... Like he just won a Kid's Choice Award or something. So then there's these like back alley junkies who attempt to assault the lead. I think he gets stabbed with a bunch of needles. Then the teacher gets drowned in a bucket of like toxic waste. Like it's all green. There's like a floating rat in it. Then they go down to the sewers. And I don't think sewers flood out with toxic waste at midnight every night. Oh yeah, Julius is on the roof. And Jason's up there, and they start at this end of the roof, and Julius is just going at it, just punching him. And I guess Kane Hodder told him to really punch him. So he's punching him, but Jason's walking. So he's like walking him to the other edge, and his knuckles are getting all bloody, and he's sweating. And then he's tired, he's just like, give me your best shot, motherfucker. And Jason just gives him one punch, head flies off into a dumpster. So that was cool. So yeah, just the lead girl and her boyfriend are down in the sewer. Jason's chasing after them. And then this was so fucking stupid. They're on a ladder. Jason's trying to get them. And she has this monologue like, You didn't get me in the lake. You're not gonna get me now. Like, so they're going up this ladder, up this manhole, and Jason, like, sees himself as a boy or hears himself. It's like he just starts, like, vomiting all this water. Toxic waste comes in. He takes his mask off, and he's all hideous. Like, it looks terrible. When the toxic waste goes away, he's, like, resorted to his 8-year-old self. I don't know why. Originally, they wanted a giant Jason's mouth with 8-year-old boy Jason inside of it with the toxic waste. I've seen, like, the test footage, and it looked fucking stupid. But I mean, like, again, shitty-ass cover. The original cover, which, again, looked way better, was this. And the marketing was I Heart New York with a slash in Jason's face. I guess they got in trouble because I Heart New York is copyrighted. But you gotta admit, that's a home run for marketing. You want to sell a part 8 where he's been in the woods the whole time, this iconic character. You're gonna put him in Manhattan and then have that I Heart New York with the slash. I mean, that looked great. That'd be a perfect... I would wear that as a t-shirt if I could find it. I've seen the original trailer where it's like the Manhattan skyline. Robert Palmer's playing. You know, you think it's going to be like some Wall Street movie. Then it pans down. There's a guy standing there. Woman walks up. He turns around wearing a hockey mask. It's Jason. Like, this movie really went on all out to say it's him in the Big Apple. There was going to be scenes in, like, Madison Square Garden, Empire State Building, I think the Trade Center. But, you know, because of the budget and because of time shooting, they couldn't afford money or time to film in Manhattan. So why not change the title? Like, Jason Takes Manhattan makes it sound like he's really fucking the city up. Worst thing he does to anything in Manhattan other than kicking the punk's radio, they go into a diner. And he throws I think it's the cook, played by Ken Kersinger, who played Jason in Freddy vs. Jason. At this point, he was just a stuntman. He throws him over the bar. I guess it's a bar restaurant. Hits the mirror. Like, that's the most he takes Manhattan. Like, all the alleys and stuff was, I guess, in Vancouver, and then the rest was in the fucking sewers. Should have said Jason Takes a Cruise, or Jason Takes the Sea. Or just call it Part 8. Because already, you're disappointing people by not really having them in Manhattan. So if you just called it Part 8 and just made that happen, maybe it would have been disappointing, but the movie's a piece of shit regardless. Yeah, of Friday the 13th, it's the worst. This was the last one Paramount had because box office sales were going down, reviews were getting worse. Frank Mancuso was actually pretty embarrassed by Friday the 13th. So after this, they sold the rights to New Line. But I think Sean S. Cunningham owned the rights to the title Friday the 13th. So that's why, from this point on, they're Jason movies, not Friday the 13th. But yeah, this movie is just bad. I mean, I can watch it to laugh at it. It is kind of a Batman and Robin type movie. But still, just the worst part is, like, how stupid do you think your audience is? Are they as dumb as your characters are supposed to be? First of all, putting a yacht in a lake is dumb. Then having a lake reach the river, which I guess is plausible in some bodies of water, in some places. But to then have that river be the source of how this cruise ship gets to Manhattan from New Jersey. I don't even think that's geographically possible. I haven't looked at a map in forever. Maybe I'm the dumb one. But yeah. I don't want to talk about this movie too much longer. This is going to be the last review of the series I'm going to do tonight. I've already up to part 8, and I wanted to do this for the month of June, so I have a few more left. But yeah, this is the beginning of the rants. It doesn't get much better after this. In fact, I like this a lot more compared to 9 and 10. Those are going to be epic rants. But this movie still fucking sucks ass. Huge drop from 6 and 7 to this. In every way. Mostly lame kills. Jason looks terrible. The logic of how he gets from Crystal Lake to the river to the ocean to Manhattan. Literally having one scene of Manhattan in a movie titled Jason Takes Manhattan. Most of it taking place on a cruise ship and the sewer. Stupid subplot of the lead being haunted by boy Jason pulling her under when she was a girl. And keep seeing the apparition and even Jason turning back into himself. This movie sucks on all fronts. That's all I got for that. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for part 9, which will come soon. Thank you.